Hello everyone, my name's Dave and welcome to the YouTube channel Animar Animus, and I'll be speaking with you today from the heart, the seat of the soul, and I hope you're well. Thank you very much for all the likes and shares and subscribers to the channel. I appreciate that very much, and please continue to do that. Today's video is from one of Tom Chetwynd's books, A Dictionary of Symbols. So thanks to Tom for letting us use this material. And today's section is on projections, psychological projecting. So please bear with me, folks. There's a couple of pages of it and hopefully you'll get something from it. The inner complexes sometimes get unconsciously projected onto other people who are used like blank cinema screens. From being negative and destructive, one's clearly recognized as part of the inner realm. The same inner forces can be transformed into positive archetypes, a valuable part of conscious rational life. The overcrowded unconscious generates projections confusing the inner realm and the outside world. The person who is limited to his conscious ego keeps making the mistakes of foisting all his unconscious complexes onto other people, because the unrecognized and neglected complexes, which are centers of energy, invariably manifest in a negative way at first. He may have a negative attitude to anyone except the few, whose conscious ego is a carbon copy of his own. If his own inferior side is inadequate with regard to material existence, then loathsome bank managers will dog his personal path, and the gnomes of Zurich will be held responsible for the downfall of Europe. Where the great feasts of Christendom have been turned into bank holidays. But if on the contrary intuition is the weak inferior side of his character, then it will be the priests with hypodermics full of heroin who will be held responsible for the troubles of the world. The process is exactly like cinema. The other person is ignored, turned into a blank screen, a container for all your own fantasies and symbolic life. Others are merely there to provide flesh for the complex, and in the same inner complexes become incarnate. This is particularly true of figures of the opposite sex, who are turned into embodiments of the animus and animar. Relationships become burdened with characteristics and need deriving from the inner mother complex. Then under the heading positive symbolism, the complexes are experienced exclusively from the point of view of the personal ego, the ordinary everyday I. From this limited vantage point, they are part of an independent, unconscious realm. But from the point of view of the self, he's talking about the big self, the authentic true self, the same centers of energy are conscious, rational, and functioning part of the whole integrated psyche, and are then normally called the archetypes. In other words, archetypes / complexes are positive and negative sides of the same symbols for inner forces. On the individual level, the microcosm. And the positive side of projections is that they are nature's way of confronting us with our own complexes and forcing us to come to terms with them. These projections are nature's personifications in flesh and blood, and the actual relationship between a man and a woman in the long run can ensure inner union of masculine and feminine forces, the integration of the animus and animal. But the process is very much helped along when the individual begins to distinguish between fact and fancy. Recognize that emotions aroused by the people, in brackets, the disgust, fear, etc., come from the inner realm. In the same way, the value we place on gold is a projection from inside man, and not part of the soft, bright metal itself. This is the activity of withdrawing projections, which is simply becoming conscious, becoming aware of what is going on, getting to know reality, instead of being driven by impulses unwittingly. We begin to have voluntary control over the circumstances, which are in themselves neutral. Then under the heading symbols, the symbols. For a man, my lady's soul, who in traditional symbolism sits spinning. She spins webs of fantasy involving moods and feelings arising from the unconscious. She's the source of all the illusion, a large portion of which consists of flattering the vanity of the conscious ego. In a more modern idiom, she works the cinema projection, by which coincidence looks rather like a spinning wheel. This is the Lady Anamar, who animates an edited cartoon version of life, which she throws between the individual and reality. Now on for a woman, my Lord's soul, who projects more a barrage of words that in the fairy tales turn into reptiles, pointless second-hand opinions that defy any further thought on the subject. The power complex, which women haven't had much opportunity to exercise in the past, can become very negative and destructive in the hands of the animus, without the conscious ego even being aware of it. Then under the heading of note, for Jung, Carl Jung and the archetypes are not man's projections. Man is, on the contrary, the projection of the archetypes. So I'll say thanks very much for Tom's excellent work on that. I hope you got something from that, ladies and gents. Please join me for future videos. I wish you a fantastic day. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye for now.